Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another edition of the Grand Boulevard Coalition. The Grand Boulevard Coalition is a community-based organization that's focusing on preventing underage drinking and drugging in the Grand Boulevard community. Tonight, backed by popular demand, I have another Grand Boulevard community resident and also a parent coordinator with the Grand Boulevard Community Coalition, Mr. William Penn. Good evening, sir. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
And before
Thank
we
you
get
for having me.
Oh yeah, you're more than welcome. We had a lot of interesting calls about the last time you were on the air as a parent. Before we go any further, let me also just mention some of our coalition members. We have, as a part of the Grand Boulevard Coalition, we have the Institute for Positive Living, Reverend Maurice Coverson, Recovery 2000, Miss Izetta Walton, Centers for New Horizon, Miss Krista Hamilton. We have the Bronzeville Community Clubhouse, John Cook. We have as our educational liaison from the Chicago Public Schools, and our vice president, Mr. Lafayette Ford. The Green Light Movement with Miss Roxanne Jackson. We have Greater Harvest Missionary Baptist Church, Pastor Eric Thomas, and the liaison has been Miss Lloyd Wainwright. And then, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention our public sector partner, the 3rd Ward Alderman, Pat Dow. So we're going to get right into our program tonight as we talk about drug-free communities. Last week, we had a very interesting show with our guest, Mr. Walter Jones, who's from the Garfield Community Partners. And we're going to go to our overhead to just look at some of our feedback. All right, I'm having... All right, so we're going to do a slide presentation right now.
Oh, okay.
You know, I love CAN TV, and so this is our slide presentation of some of the work and the meetings we do. Oh, look there. There's Paige. Some of our young people who have worked. That's not Paige. I forget the young lady's name.
That one I don't remember.
Who worked on our community pledge. And this is youth from the Green Light Movement. And I believe this is an Apostolic Metropolitan Church. It is. I can tell the location. And again, there's some historian, Mr. Lorenzo. Well, this is a Bright Star Community Church. All right, and so here's another event we got coming up as a part of GBC, the Grand Boulevard Coalition and GPS. GBPS presents a 15th annual Back to School free haircuts and backpack giveaway on September the 5th. That's Labor Day, ages 6 to 15 at 2 locations in the Grand Boulevard community. Another barbershop at 843 East 47th Street and at the barbershop at 343 East 47th Street. This event is sponsored by, or supported by, I should say, State Senator Matty Hunter and 3rd Ward Alderman Pat Dow. Again, on Monday, Labor Day, free haircuts and hairdos, sponsored by the Grand Boulevard Coalition and GBPS, which is the Grand Boulevard Prevention Services organization. Free haircuts and backpack giveaway on Monday, September the 5th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And if for more information, you can reach out and call me, Mr. Obedelli, at 312-420-5582. 312-420-5582. All right, so now we'll get right into our program after that great editorial that we've been through. So, Mr. Penn, how have you been, sir?
I'm in good. How are you and yourself?
Good since the last time I saw you.
Yes.
All right, so let's dive into this. One parent to another.
Okay.
I'm a Grand Boulevard resident.
And I
How
am
long?
too.
How long have you been in Grand Boulevard?
Almost 25 years.
25 years. So, in your estimation, let's talk about some of the changes that you might see as it relates to responsibility of businesses, community engagement, and community organizations. Why don't you? Because you're very active. So you're just not a parent, but I didn't give you a whole resume, but you're very active in the Grand Boulevard community. So, from your perspective, over the past 25 years up to now, give us your thoughts.
Well, I think that over the last 10, 15 years, things have gotten better. Streets are beginning to be a lot cleaner. People are taking ownership of their blocks. The retail setting landscapes has changed where better retail stores are coming in the community, and more minority owned and African American owned in particular are popping up, which is good for entrepreneurship purposes. And I think overall the schools have gotten much, much better.
Yeah.
And a better competition to get into the schools and to compete while you're in the schools to get very good slots in high school and so on and so forth.
Okay. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a live show. This is not a tape. This is a live show, 312-738-1060. So if you have any calls about Grand Boulevard, and if you don't know the boundaries of Grand Boulevard, so I'll give you boundaries. There are official and unofficial boundaries. So unofficially, boundaries go from 55th on the south, 35th on the north, the Dan Rhine on the west, east to the lakefront. Now, the official boundaries, because you got some real tight Grand Boulevard folks out there, 51st Street on the south. Hey, I'm just kidding. 51st on the south, 35th north, same thing, Dan Rhine west, east to the lake. So, and we've been engaged and worked with a lot of different community organizations over a period of time. But Grand Boulevard is not what most people call it. Everybody hops on Bronzeville. I saw a sign today at 22nd Street, which was really interesting. Welcome to Bronzeville, 22nd and King Drive. Anyway,
stretching.
Well, hey, listen, man. It's like Bronzeville. I know where the name came from, but it's just that most of the African Americans that have labored and have worked, lived in the Grand Boulevard community. But I guess Bronzeville just sounds better. And there's no disrespect to how the name came about. But anyhow, as we look at Grand Boulevard and look at some of the changes, right?
Right.
And we've talked about the fact that through the work of people like John Cook at the time and Alderman Pat Dow, they've been able to shut down a lot of the bad actors by way of businesses who were complicit in allowing young people to buy alcohol in the communities, right? And loose cigarettes and buy cigarettes underage, right? We've talked about communities being more active on the National Nights Out. We've talked about the compliance checks and having a great relationship with the 2nd District Police Station. But I believe we have a caller now. Caller, you on the air. Good evening, caller. Can you turn down your television? You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Good evening. How are you?
One quick question. See, I used to live down there when I was a youngster. But I thought that Grand Boulevard stopped on the east side of Cottage Grove. Because you remember when they went to drugstore, I thought that was always Hyde Park. But that's either here or there. The question I wanted to ask was, during the time when the Olympics, they thought that they was bidding for the Olympics, a lot of county sheriff sales was down there, and they started buying the properties up and things of that nature. And then when they lost the bid, what happened to all that property? 'cause I see some still down there that's empty, and it's very hard to get hold to.
Well,
The
let me
county
let me
sheriff,
let me
they
let me
still
say
holding on to it.
let me say this to you, and you're absolutely correct. I may have extended the boundary lines a little further because the lake, if you go past Cottage Grove, you go into the Kenwood Oakland community, right? So you are correct. It is Cottage Grove, but in some instances, it cuts off and goes a little bit further east. And thank you for your call. I would say this to you, caller. The land is still there. Of course, we didn't get the Olympic bid, and I think a lot of people thought that we would. I would say that on the lake front, probably I would start it around 39th, from what I can see, all the way down to 31st.
Right.
There are large vacant parcels of land, which I know for a fact would have been included in that Olympic Village, Olympic community if we would have won the Olympics. I think people bought the land up, but because we didn't get it, the value decreased, and a lot of the land went into foreclosure. The city still owns it. I mean, listen, the city paid like $30 million for the old Michael Reese site. And it's vacant, and it has been vacant for quite some time. So you're right about that. So to your point, but I wanted to get back to the point of businesses being accountable, right?
Right, we need to, right. So, like you're saying, they kicked out a lot of businesses that wasn't being accountable or being pro-community to help bring up the community.
Right.
We need a lot more of that type of action going on.
Right.
So, a call out to the community if you do see activities or any of any of those type of retailers that are not doing what you feel comfortable, you should definitely reach out to the Grand Boulevard Coalition or even to the alderman, because they like to know that stuff. And Alderman Dow has been working really hard into making that whole Grand Boulevard area much better, much for the liking.
Well, youth friendly and community friendly. I think when you look at 51st, 47th, 43rd, 39th Street, and you look at what we used to have, I know for certain there were businesses, not so much on 51st, but on 47th Street, on 43rd, and down 39th Street. We had a lot of bad actors. We had, foreigners who owned businesses, who sold liquor and had tobacco licenses, were allowing for adults to purchase liquor and cigarettes for minors. And because of community participation from one of our members, John Cook, at the Bronzeville Community Clubhouse, and working with the alderman, and in fact, just before we were established, they went out to several businesses and they were closed. They're all closed. And so, and it was not to just have, nobody misses them. I would just say that. As a community resident, nobody misses them, because at the end of the day, it is about being responsible. And if you are a resident who live in a community, live in a ward, I think it is your responsibility not just sit back and talk about the problem, but go to your local elected officials and meet with your community organizations to try to solve them.
Solve the problem.
And now that we've talked about that, I want to move into another topic of parental engagement, being a
Something
parent.
we both know about.
Well, and
I'm still learning.
Okay, I guess I am, because I've moved into this new phenomenon of raising teenagers, right?
Oh, yes, right.
Boy, I tell you, they hear the conversations from your children. I guess they don't think I'll be paying attention to what they're saying. I don't miss anything. I don't miss a beat. But just being a parent these days, William, and trying to be a parent and trying to guide your children in the right way with all the Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and you got the radio influence and just
True.
society in general. Being a parent and trying to cultivate the minds of your child.
Mm-hmm.
Just you're raising a brilliant young lady, in my opinion. This is a senior in high school, right?
Yes, I have a couple of teenagers and
Yeah.
a couple of grade school kids. Well, I think that one thing that I've learned from our group and just being a parent is taking control. And one thing a lot of parents don't want to do, but I've always told you're not your child friend, you're your child parent, is take control and set boundaries. Paige and my kids do quite good, but we work with making sure that their electronics are turned off at a certain time, phones are turned in at a certain time. So this
They
gives
turn
them-
their phones in.
Well, now we have to turn our phones in because until we build trust, we must turn our phones in. And another
Wow.
quick point on that
Okay.
is to get involved with the schools. And so
Yeah.
I go and meet the teachers to all my kids in their school. I make sure the principal know who I am. I try to get to the school at least once a week with work let me. And just being around. And this year I'm thinking about, if time permits, being a part of the PTA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I went and registered my son, and my son's in a school in the Grand Boulevard community. This is my live TV where you can rub your eyes and all that stuff. We don't go to commercial like on the other station, so if your eye itch, you have to rub it, or nose, But anyway, this is a live show, 312-738-1060. You are watching the Grand Boulevard Coalition, brought to you by CAN TV. Grand Boulevard Coalition, we're talking about drug-free communities and underage drinking and drugging prevention. And my guest today is Mr. William Penn, who's also a parent advisor here with the Grand Boulevard Coalition. I am your host, Bomani Obadelli, who's also, I serve as the president of the Grand Boulevard Coalition. And if you want to reach us for more information, it's 312-420-5582. Again, 312-420-5582. I'm giving you, of course, my personal number. But to hit back on your point, William, as it relates to, I went to register my son for school today. He's going to 8th grade at Carter G. Woodson. It's Woodson South, because there is the Carter G. Woodson North, which is the big building, but my son is a part of the University of Chicago Charter School Network, right? And so it's getting, well, I don't know about that, but here's the point. I walk into school, and of course, I go into the office, and the lady, oh, Mr. Obadell. Now, wait a minute. How do you know my name? Of course, because my son, boy, I tell you, has, I would just say this. I had to be very involved in the school last year. Yeah. And I know that Miss Mekazane Alexander, who had a daughter there, who works for the City Department of Human Services, was the president, I believe the past president of the Parent Association. I don't think we had a PTA that had like a parent advisory group. And so I would encourage parents, as much time as I can, I try to go up to the school and be involved. I think this year has been the first year, William, that I had not individually taken all of my children to school, right? Because they're so spread out. I got a daughter that's at Lincoln Park. My son is at University of Chicago. I got another daughter in the south suburbs in a grammar school, and another daughter in high school. So I have 5 children. My oldest daughter is away at Agnes Scott in Decatur, Georgia. She just graduated from De La Salle. I say all that to say, being a parent today, and I thank you for coming on, but just generally sharing to kind of help other parents. I've never believed in conforming to appease my children. Now, I think I would probably have a hard time checking the cell phones, but I try to monitor behaviors and monitor friends, and I agree with you. I'm a parent. I'm not my child's friend, right? And as a divorced parent, so it's not a 2-parent household structure from which we comes. But the point of the matter, I am very much involved with my children, and I want for every young person in Grand Boulevard what I want for my own child. I look at them the same way, even though I couldn't possibly be a father to every child in Grand Boulevard, but I want them to grow up in wholesome, vibing, safe communities, right?
Right.
And so I think being involved with the school system and making those connections are very key.
Very key.
Very key. And so we will be stepping up our efforts with our young people to get more engaged in the schools. Why don't you tell us about some of the schools that you've been, I know that you've been involved with working with schools, even though your daughter attends one specific school.
Right. I'm having a conversation with the all-girls school, which is the Young Women's Leadership Charter School, the Military Academy Perspective Charter School,
Okay.
Phillips,
Yeah.
King, and Dunbar,
Yeah.
just to name a few. But between now and the beginning of the school year, at the end of September, every high school in the Grand Boulevard principal will know me.
Well, and I think that's very important, and I plan on kind of doing the same thing, and it would even be nice if, as we're talking to businesses, right? I think a greater effort would be to get businesses to adopt the school. Now, when you say adopt the school, that may be that the businesses send in resources for school supplies, or they host a education. They supply food for parent
Events.
teacher night, parent teacher community engagement, or something as it relates to educating youth.
Okay.
As it relates to violence in the community. I just think that the schools, the businesses, and the churches in the community, I believe, have to be on the same page, right?
Yes.
A parent, in many cases, most parents work jobs, can be involved. A lot of children are latchkey children.
Right.
Mine certainly were. So the responsibility of businesses and churches in the community to be responsible and active in the community, I think those are pluses.
I agree.
Yep. So listen, we're within our last minute, and let me do this. Let me send my heartfelt condolences out to one of our members, Brother John Cook, in the loss of his mother. John Cook, who is the leader, the owner, proprietor of the Bronzeville Community Clubhouse, and also a member of this coalition, lost his mom. And certainly, John, you have our deepest sympathies and our condolences. Let me also just go back to this again as we're wrapping up. This back-to-school event, free haircuts and hairdos. This is Labor Day as we get ready to prepare to send our children back to school at another barbershop, 843 East 47th Street, and at the shop at 843 East 47th Street. I certainly, there's two same location, it's not. 343, I'm sorry, East 47th Street. Certainly, we thank you for watching this week, and let me give a great shout out to our phone tech, Miss Aviance Richard. Thank you so much. To Laura Dudley, our coordinator. And between now and next week, use your common sense, and God bless you.
Thank you.